everybody. So, today we are going to start with soft computing. In today's lecture, we are going to talk about soft computing, its needs, the techniques used in soft computing, how soft computing it is different from conventional methods, and what are the advantages of soft computing. So, let's begin with how and to understand what is soft computing. Soft computing, as it suggests, definitely it deals with computation. Okay, but then why soft? Now let's see this figure. This figure aptly depicts the motivation behind soft computing. So on this side of this figure, we can see the human brain, which is actually a network of so many millions of neurons working together to give us intelligence, the power of decision making in the current situation or in any environment. Okay. Now, when we talk about computations or soft computing, we have to look towards this left side of the figure, where we are trying to mimic the human brain with a machine. So, this is the motivation behind soft computing. So, soft computing is when we want to give our machine the computational power with abilities of problem solving, of decision making, of recognition, of translation, and perception. So, we are not simply computing as a calculator does, but we are trying to perform or we are trying to achieve the intelligent computation with the help of a machine. So, to understand this, consider the current scenario in which the number of COVID-19 cases are increasing with each day. Now, let's say we consider a date, 1st April. On that date, we are having n number of cases in our country. If we want to predict that at the current rate, what will be the number of cases 2 months later? So that is a predictive analysis which requires to understand what is the rate of increase per day and at that rate of increase of cases per day, what will be the approximate or the tentative number of cases 2 months later. Okay, or let's say we want to find out that out of the current active patients, how many patients they have the high chances of recovery. Okay, or we can even consider that, let's say, for an individual, a patient which is admitted, depending upon his age, his body temperature, his other diseases he is suffering from, what are his chances of survival? So in all these three cases, we require certain amount of analysis, and the inputs what we are using, they may not be fixed or deterministic. They may be random in nature, they may be varying in nature. So for these kind of scenarios, we resort to soft computing techniques. So soft computing techniques is nothing but a collection of methods which have the ability to predict or from the current set of data, that may be the set of observations, set of samples, or it may be a embedded structured knowledge. Okay, so it can be imprecise data or it can be a structured information. So it can be applied to a predictive analysis, a regression analysis, a recognition problem, or a classification problem. Okay, so with this understanding, let's say we define our soft computing. To formally define it, it was a term which was coined by Professor Norfizadeh with the objective of exploiting the tolerance for imprecision, uncertainty, and the partial truth in problem solving and help achieve a tractable, robust, and a low cost real solution. So, what does this exactly mean? Now, this implies, like we were taking the example of COVID-19. So when we were predicting or we wanted to predict the number of patients based on the current number of patients we have on the present date, and we want to know what after 2 months, how many patients would be there. So that requires some input which is very not done. Predicting that number of patients, that has a very uncertain kind of input. I don't know that how many patients would be there after one day. One person would be infecting how many further persons? What is that multiplication factor from the each person? So my input, that is very uncertain, that is very imprecise. It is not deterministic. So in such cases, when we want to get a solution which is correct, which gives me a good predictable value, which is true or which is real, we have to opt for soft computing techniques. So, with that understanding, we can define soft computing as set of computational methods or techniques used for problem solving which have the ability to work with imprecise and uncertain data and still give us result which is correct, adaptable and acceptable under different situations. Okay, so I hope it makes it very clear what is soft computing. Primarily, when we are talking about soft computing techniques, we refer to neural networks, fuzzy systems, and the evolutionary algorithms. In particular, evolutionary, we are going to stick on to genetic algorithms. Otherwise, it may encompass uh, this particle swarm optimization, ant colony optimization, flower pollination optimization, but we are going to talk about genetic algorithm, in particular in evolutionary. Apart from that, there are hybrid systems also, hybrid techniques which are neuro fuzzy systems, neuro GS systems, and fuzzy GS systems. So these are the broad classes of soft computing techniques. Now, you must obviously be having a question in mind. What is the difference between machine learning or artificial intelligence and soft computing? That is a very obvious question which comes to our mind. See, artificial intelligence, when we talk about, it has three main components. It needs to store knowledge, it needs to apply knowledge, and it needs to upgrade or adapt the knowledge. So all these three abilities are available in neural networks. Okay, so neural networks is one such methodology which is trying to mimic the human intelligence through computations. So basic aim of artificial intelligence and soft computing is same. We want to get the intelligence of human brain to a machine so that it can take the decisions depending upon the current inputs rather than being fed by a deterministic set of structured knowledge or models. Okay, so the basic aim, it remains the same, but as of now the methodologies used, they are different, but with time this distinction between soft computing and AI is getting thinner because the ultimate aim is same. I hope it makes it clear to you. Now, before we uh, further go into the soft computing techniques, where is the need of soft computing techniques? One thing very obvious, we talked about imprecise inputs, uncertain inputs, which is the case mostly in case in our environment. We can consider the case of an air purifier only. So air purifier is a machine which purifies air, which is responsible for purifying air by removing certain type of pollutants, bacteria or maybe viruses. Okay, but the input to the air purifier, that is varying with situation to situation. It may be used in a varied room size under different temperature conditions. The number of people in the room, that may be variable. The number of doors and windows, that is the number of openings in the room, that may be variable. Type of pollutants in the given environment, that may be variable. So all these inputs are variable. They are very random. We cannot predict it. They're very uncertain. So we need to work with such systems, but still we have to guarantee that air we are getting is purified air. The quality of the air we are getting, that is acceptable to be a good quality air. So for these systems which can work on this imprecise data, we need soft computing. And whenever we are talking about any problem and solving that problem, there is some amount of complexity which is involved. Whenever we are applying certain, uh, so for any problem to be solved, we are looking for a solution, that is in the form of steps or computations. So whenever we are applying certain computations or steps to solve a problem, it involves some amount of complexity. So when I talk about complexity, that is the measure of how much time it will take and how much resources they would be used. Okay, so the complexity of a problem is the criteria which helps me determine what technique I have to use or what is the best feasible solution for my given problem. Okay, so when I talk about complexity, as I told you, it can be measured in the terms of time complexity, that is how much time it takes to solve a problem with respect to size of the input. Let's say we have inputs to our problem, and for that n input I will take, let's say, 2n time steps. Okay, if my n increases, so my time will also increase in the ratio of 2n. So that is the measure of time complexity, and it is generally expressed as big O notation. Big O means we are going to take the worst case timing complexity. Okay, that is under the worst circumstances, what is the maximum amount of the runtime of a given uh, algorithm for a particular problem solver. Okay? So that is the measure of time complexity. And the other is the space complexity. Space complexity is normally measured in the term of resource, that is memory. That is, we may need to store the intermediate steps or certain parameters. So how much space is occupied, how much memory is utilized by our system in running an algorithm for solving a problem, that is the measure of space complexity. Primarily in the current context, we are going to talk about time complexity. So whether we are going to accept any algorithm or any solution as a good solution for our problem, that depends upon what is its time complexity. Okay. So based on the time complexity, there are certain classes, okay, for the computational complexity. First is T, or the polynomial time. Now, what is this polynomial time? Polynomial time means when we are expecting to get the solution using a given algorithm in a fixed deterministic time. Now, this complexity is all based on actually Turing machine. Turing machine was nothing but it was a mathematical model of computation given by the great mathematician Alan Turing in 1936, which had the capability of simulating any algorithm. Okay, so that forms the basis of measuring the time complexity. So what exactly it is? Suppose I consider a problem. I give you a problem to find the number of even numbers between 0 to 100. So before even solving the problem, you know that it is going to be solved in a limited amount of time. So I can opt for, or I can design a program, or I can design the steps for that, a computer program for that, which would obviously depend upon the logic that we can divide each number by 2. If it is divisible, the number is even. If it is not divisible, the number is not even. So simple logic. Now if I increase my range of numbers from 0 to 1000, then also the same algorithm would work, but the time used would be increased. Similarly, if I take the range to be 0 to 10,000 numbers, that would still take a higher amount of time and that would increase. So I know that my time is going to increase. Time taken is definitely going to increase with number of inputs on my size of the problem, but I know it is deterministic. I have the concrete steps which are defined in my algorithm, which take a limited amount of each step is going to take a limited amount of time, and I know that my problem is solvable in a polynomial time. So polynomial time is nothing but linear time, I can say. For example, n, 2n, 3n, all this is called 6n. So any time which is multiplied not with a higher order, but linearly multiplied with any integer, that gives me a polynomial time. So I know the time is going to increase, but it is going to be solved in a reasonable, limited polynomial time. Such problems are called polynomial time problems. Okay, so I can say it refers to set of decision problems which use deterministic logic and are solved in a polynomial time. So by law, all our data structure problems, all our algorithms like linear search algorithms, breadth first search algorithm, depth first search algorithms, all of these they are classified as polynomial time problems. Next category we come to is non-deterministic polynomial time problems. So what are these? So to understand this, consider a Rubik's cube problem. So we know that Rubik's cube, it is very, I don't know how many steps it would take, but I know if I have a Rubik's cube in any state, I can definitely solve it. And that is going to be solved in a deterministic time. That is also sure. Okay. So it is verified that problem is going to be solved in a verified time. But I may use certain logic which are not deterministic. For example, in this Rubik's, I know that I am able to solve it. I will ultimately be able to solve it. But how much time would be taken, that would depend upon the initial state. If I have an initial state where all the colored cubes are scrambled, it would take me some definite amount of time. But if let's say my green colored cubes they are already in order and my red colored cubes they are already in order, there is a probability that I will take a lesser amount of time. Okay. So though it is verified that a problem is solvable in polynomial time, but are certain statements in our algorithm or in our solution which we are offering or the computations which are offering are non-deterministic in nature, which we have to give a random time. Let's say one time step, two time step. So we arbitrarily give based on the experimental or the general logic that okay, it will approximately take 10 seconds for solving each color cube and so on. So we are having certain non-deterministic statements but verified. Even before solving the problem, it is verified that this problem is going to be solvable in a polynomial time. So such problems are called non-deterministic polynomial time problems. Okay. Next we come to is next class of algorithm that is of problems that is NP-hard problem. NP-hard are the hardest of the problems and they refer to the decision problems which are otherwise having a exponential time dependence. You must have heard about the traveling salesman problem. That is a very general problem where a salesman has to travel a set of cities and he has to chalk out the optimal path for that. That which is going to be the best path with the least amount of time or the shortest path covering all the cities. Okay, so that problem is NP hard. Okay, because actually it is so as the number of cities would increase, the time would be increasing. So they are normally having not a polynomial time, but they are having exponential time. When I say exponential time, that is they are having their dependence of time taken is on the higher powers of n, where n is the number of inputs. So n square, n cube, n raised to power n. So otherwise we know that they are not a linear time or a polynomial time problem, but we can look to modify the problem to make it solvable or reduce it to a polynomial time problem using a deterministic model. Okay, so this implies it is referring to a set of decision problems which are otherwise not solvable in polynomial time, but we can look to reduce them to a solvable deterministic polynomial time problem. So we are able to reduce them by some modification. So such problems are called NP-hard. And finally, to the last categorization, that is NP-complete. NP-complete is basically problems which are both NP and which are both and NP-hard. So it is the problems which fall both in the category of NP-hard and in the problem of NP. So what does this mean? It means we can first thing they are NP means they are having some non-deterministic component. Okay. Second thing, they are NP hard. NP hard means they are not solvable in polynomial time, but they can be reduced to be solved in polynomial time. So I can say they are the set of problems which can be reduced to a polynomial time, but they may involve a non-deterministic set of statements. So I hope it makes it all clear to you. So now we have, so with this, I think we understand what is even the need of this. The need to understand all these classifications were that soft computing techniques, they should possess the capability to provide the solution to even NP hard, NP complete or NP problems which are having random or stochastic inputs and give us solution in a polynomial time. So this talks about the capability of soft computing techniques. Okay. So they are able to convert any problem, any NP hard problem also to a polynomial problem. So this is the Venn diagram representation of your uh, problem complexity classification. So we have polynomial time problems, which are nothing but set of problems which use deterministic logic and they can be solved in polynomial time. Then we have NP problems, which refers to set of problems which have non-deterministic statements or logic, but they are verified to be solved in polynomial time. Then we have NP hard problems, which are otherwise not solvable in polynomial time, but they can be reduced using a deterministic model to be solved in polynomial time. And finally, we have NP complete, which is nothing but overlap of NP hard and NP problems, which can be reduced to be solved in polynomial time such that if they are solved in polynomial time, all the NP problems, they will have their solution in that. That means it caters to all the solutions for available for any NP problem. So they cater to non-deterministic polynomial time reducible problems. Okay, so this covers your problem complexity. Now we again, after understanding the capabilities of soft computing, we now come to what is hard computing and what is soft computing. So if we have soft computing, obviously there is a term which is hard computing. Something has to classify the hard computing. I hope all of you remember all of when you were in your plus two, plus one, when you started with your physics somewhere, you must have heard about those spring pulley problems or workforce problems which were there, or liver pulling systems, kinetic energy, potential energy. So if we talk about all those systems, they were modeled by certain equations, mathematical equations. So such and for given input, I always add a fixed output which was expected from my system. So if I wanted to know that to pull a particular load or a weight, how much force I have to apply or how much work has to be done, that was fixed for a given amount of weight. Okay, so these models, which are deterministic in nature, which work on the fixed inputs and giving you the fixed outputs for those inputs, they are called the deterministic computational models and they refer to hard computing. Hard means fixed. They are fixed. Okay, so they are discrete. So, hard computing, it refers to the computational models which are very precise, which are deterministic in nature, whereas soft computing models, they are based on approximate models. Okay, so there is a lot of reasoning. I cannot refer, for example, for one example we can take about soft computing. Let's say this traveling salesman problem only. So I cannot always say that okay, this path is going to be correct, okay, or giving you the shortest possible time and the best solution. So they work on the inputs which are imprecise, which are uncertain, which are random in nature, which are probability based. So this is the second point. Hard computing that works on the crisp data. Crisp data means it is fixed. I say that uh, my I'm having fever. My what is my classification of fever? That my body temperature has to be above 98.4 Fahrenheit. Okay, so that is fixed. There is no range. Okay, but if I say the weather is very warm, now when I say weather is very warm, that is I cannot refer to only 25 degree or only 30 degree. It may refer to a range 25 to 30 degree. So that may be a range. It's not fixed. So they are little real or fuzzy in nature. Hard computing is less robust because again it is going to work on the fixed value. So if the value even becomes 99, to classify it as fever or not fever, that is not intelligence of the machine. That is not decidable by the machine. Okay. But a soft computing model that is more robust, even if there is ambiguity in the input or there is some noise in the input leading to certain change in the input levels, still we are going to expect a output for that. Okay. Hard computing is based on the conventional approach because originally all these mathematical models they were built for the fixed. So it is an old traditional model where fixed input, fixed output systems with a definitive relationship between the input and output were designed. Whereas soft computing is relatively a new approach which works on information processing and reasoning models. Okay. Uh, Next we come to is hard computing. It is more of a sequential processing. Okay, you give input and for that input you are getting some output. Whereas soft computing is more of a parallel processing. Okay, because a lot of inputs, lot of ranges of inputs are there. So to make them faster, to make them robust. We take all the inputs, and based on all the inputs which are coming to our system, we can give a connective output. Okay, so I hope it makes it very clear, and examples you very well know. So we can all the spring pulley mechanism systems, all the workforce models, or the communication models, Gaussian model. All these are what these are hard computing systems. Whereas when we talk about systems like based on air purifiers, air temperature controllers, real-time monitoring systems, or air traffic control, or missile guidance systems. All these real systems, they are example of your soft computing systems. So coming to the end of this first introductory lecture on soft computing, we'll just briefly sum up what are the advantages of soft computing. Soft computing, it allows to make to incorporate certain amount of computational intelligence in the machines or the systems so that they have decision making capabilities like humans. Okay. Second, it helps us design the adaptable expert systems. Adaptable, that is, if inputs are changing in my environment, they should be able to adapt. So they are capable of working with the real world data where most of the inputs they are imprecise, random, or stochastic in nature. And lastly, it offers faster processing and the low cost solutions which are acceptable under all circumstances, and in particular they give us solutions to non-linear problems which can be classified as NP hard problems because of their non-linearity. Okay, so with this we come to the end of soft computing lecture. Next we'll start with the introduction to the first uh, part of our soft computing, that is artificial neural networks. To have a good understanding of the subject, there is a brief quiz following this. Kindly do it and see if you are able to understand what is soft computing and its application. Thank you so much.